The Silver Sword, Chapter 12. The Hand. The village of Kalina lay to the north of Posen. A sandy track led to it across the fields. This track was crowded with people, many of them children, for rumour had it that a large field kitchen had arrived in the village and that a relief organisation was starting work. It was partly the thought of food and rest that sent Ruth, Bronya and Jan there, and partly the fact that everyone was going there and they were caught up in the stream. There was no point in loafing about in Posen, and Ruth was unwilling to press on to Switzerland without Edek. As they drew near, they were greeted by sounds of hammering, by laughter and shouting. Wooden huts were springing up all around the green. A concrete mixer was at work laying foundations, and not far away a Russian field kitchen was busy preparing food. A relief officer divided the people into groups as they arrived. The 3 children were taken into a field which was roped off from the huts and crowded with youngsters, most of them sitting quietly on the ground. "We're getting dinner ready now," they were told. "It will be your turn soon." At the sound of a trumpet, they were shepherded into a queue which dragged its way slowly, silently and hungrily towards the kitchens. As they approached, Ruth caught in her nostrils the warm, cheering smell of soup. She watched the nearest cook busy with his ladle, the steam from the soup urn rising up to his merry face. "The war's over, I tell you. Our Russian armies have met the Americans on the Elbe. Germany's done for," he was saying. "Wonderful news, isn't it? I don't know what's wrong with these children. You'd think it would cheer them up to hear that the war's over, but they don't seem to hear me. You, Sonny, with the sick giraffe under your arm. Oh, it's a cock, is it? Looks to me a bit trodden on. Aren't you glad the bombs have stopped dropping?" But Jan's mind was on the bowl he was clasping in both hands, lifting it up to be filled. "Here's an extra dollop for the sick pal under your arm," said the cook. "Let's hope it will make him sit up and crow. If not, give him to me, and I'll turn him into soup. He's good for a couple of mouthfuls. Next, please." Someone slipped bread into Jan's hand, and he filed on, sipping the soup as he shuffled on past the kitchens to find a corner to sit down. "Hey, look where you're going," a voice cried. Jan tripped. He fell, one hand still clutching the bowl, the other thrust out to break his fall, and Jimpy tumbling too. The bowl struck a stone and broke. The soup drained away into the dust. There were little lumps of meat and bread and vegetable lying about, still recognisable. Up till now, the feeding had proceeded in silence. No one but the cooks and the helpers seemed to feel the need to speak. Now, in a moment, all control vanished. The sight of the spilt food was too much for the orderly queue. They burst their ranks and sprang upon it, a rabble of wildly hungry children. Jan was the centre of a fighting scrum. Even Ruth had flung herself forward and, in spite of herself, was struggling with the rest. As she struggled, she thought not of the food but of Bronya. What would happen to Bronya in a scrum like this? The sudden onrush took the soldiers and workers by surprise. They did what they could to restore order, but it was as if a dam had burst, and all they could do was stand aside till the waters had subsided. Jan, dirty and much bruised, was the last to pick himself up. Jimpy lay quite still, his neck broken. The boy was too dazed to grasp what had happened. The broken bits of the bowl had been squashed into the ground. Of the spilt food, there was no sign anywhere. Then a sparrow spotted a single breadcrumb and, dipping down swiftly, thieved it without anyone noticing. Someone took Jan by the elbow and made him sit down, placing a fresh bowl of steaming soup in his hands. But where was Bronya? Mercifully, she had not been in the scrum at all. The cook, who had been in the act of serving her, had snatched her up and held her clear. It was as well that he had, for she was the smallest person there. And Ruth? There had been children on top and all around her, and someone's foot had been on her hair so that she could not turn her head. She had reached blindly for the food and caught only a hand. For some reason or other, she clung on to the hand, and when everyone about her had got up and her hair was free, she had not let go. Then she looked to see whose hand it was, and it was Edek's.